Hello everyone. So today I'll be discussing the 2021 question. I'll be starting from the last question. So to just change a bit pattern. So yeah, laser pen is here. Yeah. So 24 question. That is the last question of structural geology in 2021. Rake can be defined as rake क्या है? रेक को हम लोग पिच भी कहते हैं. अगर आपको पिच पूछ ले रेक पूछ ले तो वो एक ही चीज़ है. सो क्या है रेक, क्या कैसे डिफाइन किया जाएगा? So, geometrical relationship between the plane in which line is found with respect to regional structure. It is something that describes a broader geometric relationship. It is not something that is specific to the angle of rake. So, एंगल की बात है. वी नो दैट रेक एंड पिच इज एन एंगल. तो पहला ऑप्शन तो वैसे ही गड़बड़ हो गया. तो 3 ऑप्शन पे ध्यान देते हैं. एंगल बिटवीन प्लेन एंड हॉरिजॉन्टल डेटम लाइन. दिस इज नोन एज द डिप एंगल. नॉट द दिस इज कॉल्ड डिप एंगल. Not the pitch or rake angle. Angle between a line and a strike of a plane which contains that line. It is called rake. C option is correct. रेक और पिच क्या होता है? ये एक मेजरमेंट होता है स्ट्रक्चरल जियोलॉजी में, जो कि आपके लीनियर फीचर होते हैं ना. आपके मेजरमेंट ऑफ लीनियर फीचर इज डन बाय द पिच और रेक. सो लाइन विद इन अ प्लेन ये एक ऐसा एंगल होता है जो कि जो आपकी लीनिएशन है, ठीक है, और जो आपकी स्ट्राइक लाइन है जैसे कि हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन विद इन द प्लेन, उसका मेजरमेंट ये बहुत क्रूशियल है for understanding the geological features and all. So you see in this diagram that this is a block in which there are lineations, linear features are there. So पिच क्या है आपका? यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक का एंगल मेजरमेंट, इसको पिच कहेंगे. यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक इसको भी पिच कहेंगे, ठीक है. सो लिनिएशन का मेजरमेंट विद इन दैट प्लेन ओनली. और प्लंज क्या होता है? ये आपका एक प्लेन है, ठीक है, that plane, and it is angle measurement within that plane as well as that lineation. So it is known as plunge. और जिस डायरेक्शन में होता है उसको कहते हैं ट्रेंड. ओके, नाउ कमिंग टू दी अबव क्वेश्चन. पूछ रहे हैं कंटूर मैपिंग्स के ऊपर क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया. होमवर्क लाइन्स क्या होते हैं? होमवर्क लाइन्स कैसे बताया जाता है? होमवर्क लाइन्स मैं बता देती हूँ कि कुछ इस तरह से उसका स्ट्रक्चर होता है जिसके अंदर आपके सारे के सारे जो बेड्स हैं दे आर डिपिंग इन सेम डायरेक्शन ओनली, ठीक है. सो होमवर्क लाइन्स आर द रीजन्स वेयर द रॉक लेयर डिप्स कंसिस्टेंटली इन वन डायरेक्शन. Structural contour map. This uniform dip is shown by sub-parallel contour lines that either decrease or increase in the elevation across the map. So it indicates a steady slope. So सीधी सी बात है कि जब ये सब एक ही डायरेक्शन में डिप करेंगे तो इनके सब-पैरेलल कंटूर लाइंस होंगे, पास पास होंगे तो मतलब एलिवेशन जो है वो कम होगा, दूर दूर होंगे तो एलिवेशन जो है वो जेंटल होगा. तो कुछ इस तरह से. सो कमिंग टू द ऑप्शन. सो inclined contour lines that cross cut a bedding plane with a regular elevation interval. So contour lines crossing bed planes at regular interval might indicate other structure. It's not homoc line. Subparallel contour line that steadily decrease or increase in elevation across the face of the map. So that is correct. Homoc lines have subparallel contour lines that shows consistent increase and decrease in elevation reflecting the uniform dip. Now subparallel contour lines that always run orthogonal to the bedding plane. Contour lines that run orthogonal to the bedding plane are different geological structures such as cross-cutting structures. They are not the homoc lines. Parallel contour lines also run parallel to the bedding planes. So parallel contour lines, when they run parallel to the bedding plane or a flat or horizontal layer that suggest a flat or horizontal layer, it's not homoc line. So parallel contour lines that also run parallel to the bedding plane, they are the flat or horizontal layer. When they are orthogonal, so it shows the cross-cutting relationship, and when they are all dipping in the same direction, parallel direction, so that is our homoc line. Now coming to the रूल ऑफ वी के ऊपर एक क्वेश्चन इन्होंने हमेशा पूछा है. रूल ऑफ वी में जो आपके अपस्ट्रीम और डाउनस्ट्रीम के केस हैं उनको प्लीज़ करके जाइए, समझ के जाइए, क्योंकि उसके ऊपर ये क्वेश्चन पक्का पूछते हैं कि अपस्ट्रीम में आपका एक ही केस है, डाउनस्ट्रीम में आपके 2 केस होते हैं. एक आपका जेंटली डिपिंग और एक आपका स्टीपली डिपिंग. उस पर क्वेश्चन ज़रूर पूछते हैं ये. ओके, सो आउटक्रॉप पैटर्न ऑफ बेड दैट डिप्स डाउनस्ट्रीम एट एन एंगल. अब आउटक्रॉप पैटर्न बताना है बेड का. डाउनस्ट्रीम का मैंने बताया था 2 केस थे. एट एन एंगल लेस देन द ग्रेडियंट ऑफ द स्ट्रीम फॉर्म्स वी. तो एंगल है आपका जेंटल, यानी कि लेस देन द ग्रेडियंट ऑफ द स्ट्रीम फॉर्म्स वी. तो क्या होगा, तो इसका उल्टा केस होता है, इट इज़ इन द अपस्ट्रीम डायरेक्शन. लोग डाउनस्ट्रीम सोच के डाउनस्ट्रीम को टिक करते हैं, जो कि गलत है. ए ऑप्शन इज द करेक्ट. ये आप ऑप्शन देख सकते हैं कि दे आर डिप्स डाउनस्ट्रीम एट एन एंगल दैट इज लेस देन द ग्रेडियंट, सो द वी forms which is in a upstream direction. So when interpreting the relationship between the dip of the beds and stream gradient, it is important to consider how the stream cuts through these layers. The key point is the comparison between the dip angle of the beds and the gradient of the stream. In upstream direction, if the bed dips downstream at an angle less than the gradient of the stream, the erosive action of the stream can indicate a V pattern that points upstream. This is because stream cuts into bed and forms V that is pointing opposing to the direction of flow. If bed dips at an angle that is greater than the stream, the V points downstream, but with dip less than the stream gradient, V should point upstream. So this is another case, and इसमें downstream होना चाहिए था अगर एंगल जो है ग्रेटर होता आपके जो भी गिवन एंगल उससे. Now, perpendicular to the direction of the flow would simply indicate no directional preference, which isn't correct for this scenario, and the strike direction of the bed parallel to the flow of river. The strike refers to the direction of the bed lines of intersection with the horizontal plane does not align to the V pattern. और नाउ कमिंग टू द कैटाक्लास्टिक फ्लो. कैटाक्लास्टिक फ्लो किस चीज़ का रिजल्ट है? इट इज़ अ रिजल्ट ऑफ द फ्रिक्शनल स्लाइडिंग अलॉन्ग द इंटरकनेक्टेड माइक्रोक्रैक्स. सो कैटाक्लास्टिक फ्लो इट इन्वॉल्व्स अ डिफॉर्मेशन इन द रॉक थ्रू ब्रिटल mechanisms only, primarily by the frictional sliding along the interconnected microcracks. These microcracks allow the rock to accommodate strain through small scale movements, resulting in overall ductile like behavior at larger scale despite being composed of brittle fracture process. So yeah, frictional sliding along the interconnected microcracks actually accurately describes the mechanism of cataclastic flow involving brittle fracture and deformation. Now coming to the other option, dislocation by pressure solution. So dislocation by pressure solution involves dissolution and precipitation process. Okay. Displacement along the dislocation plane. So displacement along the dislocation plane, it pertains to crystal defects, plastic deformation. Flow along the crystallographic planes of weakness. Flow along the crystallographic plane of weakness is more related to crystal plasticity, not cataclastic flow. Now, coming to the another question, like Reich's principle of recrystallization for plastic deformation is expressed as. So, it's a principle. It's asking the direct question. Okay, so Ritke's principle explains during the plastic deformation, recrystallization occur due to differential stress. Specifically, the crystal parts that are under greater stress are likely to dissolve, while part under lower stress experience precipitation. This stress dissolution and precipitation mechanism leads to the reorientation of growth of crystal in a way that reduces overall stress, facilitating plastic deformation. So the correct option would be this. The solution in the pore space of the rock that dissolves the portion of the crystal which is under great stress, and at the same time the precipitation on that portion of the crystal is subjected to least stress. So that is the Reich's principle for plastic deformation. Now, crystallization according to the glide plane orientation does not fully describe this. Intergranular displacement does not capture the stress dissolution and precipitation. While high confining pressure and temperature are involved, the guided crystallization does not specifically address Reich's principle. Okay. Now, coming to the 19th question, Mohr-Suckel pair. Value of the normal stress and shear stress on each fault plane, this and this, on each fault plane in the Mohr envelope of failure is reflected by the coordinates of the point making the intersection of each circle with its radius. So, in Mohr envelope of failure, the value of normal stress and shear stress on each fault plane is represented by the points of where the Mohr circle intersects the failure envelope. These points indicate the critical stress condition at which failure occurs. The coordination of these intersection points reflect the combination of normal and shear stress that led to the failure. Specifically, the intersection of each circle with its radius indicates the stress state on the fault plane. Other options. Tangential reflection with the x-axis does not accurately reflect the stress values on the fault plane. Intersection points with the applied stress do not specifically indicate the critical stress state for the failure. So, Mohr-Suckel के बारे में I've told you, Mohr envelope. Now, coming to the question, the assembly of tilted blocks, half grabens, and horse is called strike slip landscape, pull apart basins, fault block landscape, and gully landscape. That is fault block landscape. Fault block landscape is characterized by large block of the earth crust that have been tilted, uplifted, dropped along fault lines. These lands include tilted blocks, half grabens, that is down drop blocks, grabens, that is sunken blocks, horse, that is raised blocks. So strike slip landscape are associated with horizontal movements along the fault line. Pull apart basins are formed due to extensional forces, it is not same as the fault block landscape. Gully landscape are formed by erosion, it is not related to fault block structures. Which of the following types of folds are classified on the basis of mechanism of folding? Mechanism, मतलब how is folding occurring? That is flexure slip folds. Flexure slip folds are classified based on their formation mechanism. It involves the layers that are sliding past each other across along the bedding planes, accommodating fold curvature. This mechanism is distinguished from other fold types. Plunging and reclined folds are the orientation, not mechanism. Symmetrical and recumbent are classified by their geometry. And parallel and similar folds are described by fold shapes, and it is not formation mechanism. 16 question. Throw in fault is defined as what? It is not an angle. It is a thickness. Thickness of a stratigraphic interval between two beds that are brought into contact by faulting. So you just think one चीज़ कि आपको 4 ऑप्शन दिए, चारों में एंगल 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 नहीं है और एक में थिकनेस दिया है. और वन आउट का लगा सकते हैं, यहाँ पे लगा दीजिए. ऑल्सो थ्रो के बारे में अगर आपको पता है तो आप यही चूज़ करते. थ्रो रेफर्स टू द वर्टिकल डिस्प्लेसमेंट component of a fault. It is the thickness of stratigraphic interval between two beds that are juxtaposed due to faulting. This measurement is critical for understanding the vertical separation or a displacement along the fault. The first option was angle between the fault and the horizontal plane is the dip angle. Angle between the strike of the fault plane and strike of the regional structure. It's known as strike separation, not the throw. Angle between the fault plane and the vertical plane. This describes the dip angle on a vertical plane, not throw. क्लास 1 फोल्ड्स के बारे में पूछ रहा है. इसके ऊपर रैमजन क्लासिफिकेशन के ऊपर आपके हर पेपर में क्वेश्चंस आए हैं, हर पेपर में. वी रूल, टोपोग्राफी, रैमजे क्लासिफिकेशन, इस पे तो क्वेश्चन आ ही रहा है. क्लास 1 फोल्ड्स के बारे में पूछ रहा है. डिप आइसोगोन्स दैट कन्वर्ज डाउनवर्ड, जहाँ कन्वर्जिंग आ गए, सिग्निफाइंग दैट द कर्वेचर ऑफ द आउटर आर्क इज लेस देन दैट ऑफ इनर आर्क, इट इज़ नॉन एज दी क्लास 1 folds. So class 1 folds are characterized by dip isogons, lines जो कि connect करते equal dip on the folded surface, and when they converge downward, so they indicates that the curvature of the inner arc, it is greater than the outer arc, which is typically in class 1 folds including subtypes 1A, 1B, 1C. Also parallel folds with curvature of outer arc and inner arc of fold being identical. So this is described to the parallel folds and it is not specific to the class 1 folds. Fold marked by dip isogon that diverge downward as outer arc curvature exceeds the inner arc curvature. When dip isogons they diverge downwards, they are the class, but it is class 3 folds. Divergence of dip isogons is characterized of class 3 folds. Folds marked by modest thickening on the hinge and modest thinning on the limb. So this description is more general and it is not specifically defined class 1 folds. Now coming to the 14th question, the appropriate mathematical expression for total strain in a creep is S is total strain, D is time, ABC are the constants during the tertiary creep. So 4 ऑप्शन दिए हैं, A, B by log T minus C minus D. So if you are eliminating anything out of it, so okay, this is the formula. So in context of creep, total strain S is modeled as a function of time and ABCD, representing the different contribution to the strain. This expression accounts for primary, secondary, and tertiary creep phase. A initial strain, B log by log T, representing the logarithm time dependent strain, C linear time dependent strain, and D during the tertiary creep. So our answer would be D. This is the expression that appropriately models the accumulation of strain over time in a creeping material. Now coming to the last question, that is the first question. It was angular shear in deformed rock is described by angular shear बता रहे हैं. So the degree, total degree of deflection of two lines. So let me tell you what is angular shear. In context of structural geology, it refers to the measure of change in angle between two originally perpendicular lines after deformation. When a rock body undergoes deformation, the angles between initially perpendicular lines are altered or tilted. The extent to which these lines are deflected from their original 90 degrees is quantified as angular shear. The degree to which two originally perpendicular lines are deflected from 90 degree. Total degree of deflection of two lines are originally at certain angle before deformation. This option describes the total degree of deflection of two lines and it is not specific. to change the angle between the perpendicular lines. Option B, angular relationship between alignments of 2 points, they change after distortion deformation. This option talks about the angular relationship between the alignment of the 2 points, but it does not refers to what it is asking. Option D, last one, the angle change between two parallel lines after deformation. So option is the angle change between two parallel lines, and it is not the measure of the angular shear. So yeah, with this I'm ending this video. I would suggest you to make short notes again and again from this, then you will be able to answer it more clearly. So yeah, thank you.